first and second graders, welcome to most likely your last module. If you made it this far, congratulations. We're going to show you a brief tutorial on how to create a flyer using Google Slide. I've already created and altered the way the page looks because normally Google Slides we use for presentations, slide presentations, so I had to kind of change the look of the page here. I've already done that for you to save us a little bit of time. But when viewing this page, anytime you want to zoom in, right from the Google toolbar right here, zoom, and you can see I can increase that to 100, go back here, I can really zoom in, or I can kind of go back to where it fits where I start. I'm going to leave it right on here until I need to see some details, which I will do. But our focus is going to be on creating a flyer for staying healthy at school. All right, the first thing we're going to do is change the background here, other than this plain white background. And I'm going to go do that by finding the Google toolbar again, which is right here. And I'm going to look for where it says background. Click on that. You'll see the current color, which is white. And I'm going to change that. So I can click on this little drop down and I can use, base colors here, which I can change it to that. I can change to whatever color I want. Here's another nice little unique feature. Instead of just solid colors, I can pick a gradient color, which means the color kind of changes as you look along the page. So I'm gonna recommend choosing maybe a lighter color. I'll show you what this looks like. Done. Looks pretty cool. Again, you can always go back here, background. Want to change it again, maybe I choose this one. Done. Looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this color as my background, and just know that you can change it at any time. All right, let's move along with our flyer tutorial. And the first thing we're going to do is insert some word art. And we're going to start with staying healthy at school as kind of our centerpiece, and then build off of that. So how you do that is you go to what's called the drop-down menu right here, and we're looking for insert. Okay, see it? Boom, there it is. So I'm going to click on insert, and I'm going to take my cursor down to word art right here. Click on that, and I'm going to type in, correctly spelling, staying healthy at school. And I'm going to hopefully spell it correctly. Staying healthy at school. Once I have that, I just can click enter on my keyboard, and you will see there it is. Now, here's where it gets a little fun. We can change the way this looks quite a bit. So I'm going to zoom in, like I told you before. Sometimes I need to see a little more detail. So I want to find the absolute middle of the page. How do I do that? How do I put this in just the middle of the page? You see, as I start to grab, click, and move around, you'll see a little red bar. Well, that shows that it is in the center of the page vertically. What about the absolute middle of the page? You should see another red line come up here. There it is right there. So that means it's centered on the page horizontally as well. So if we back out, you can see. So it's not only in the middle here, it's in the middle here. So I'm going to keep it right there and then zoom back in. Back to changing what this looks like. You have a lot of choices here, and I suggest you choose as many. If you click on the font, which is again on our Google drop-down, Google toolbar rather, right here, you'll find it, and there's a whole bunch of cool ones. Okay, and you can change it to whatever you like, whatever you think would be good for a staying healthy flyer. And don't worry about it right now. You see it's not on the actual page. We're going to fix that too. I'm going to find one that I like. Let's see what this looks like. Ooh, that's kind of cool. I'm going to go ahead and keep that one. Again, once I find one I like, and if you're on this zoom, you notice I'm still on this zoom. If you click on that again, now I can come back. And again, I can move it around. I want to find the exact middle. You see those two red lines? That means I'm right in the middle of the page. I'm going to put it right there. You can obviously change the size of this by grabbing the corners. You can grab any of these blue points to resize it and just kind of move it around. Once you find that spot, like I said, in the middle of the page, I would leave it there. There we go. But what if I don't want to keep this color? Go back to the Google toolbar, look for this right here, which is called the paint bucket. Click on that, and I'm gonna actually use gradient again, and I'm gonna choose a different color here. How about this? Ooh, looks pretty cool. Try another one. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and keep that one. So right now, you should have two things done. You should have a background, and you should have staying healthy at school, and hopefully you have it centered. Anytime you need to resize it, you can just grab any of these blue corners and do so, because there are times you're going to have font, depending on what you choose, that'll be like this. You're going to have to move it, you're going to have to resize it from time to time, but just make sure it's legible, which means you can read it clearly. And once you find that middle, again, you're going to hold it until you see it right in the middle, and then we're going to pick up from there. All right, guys, now that we have a theme and a background color picked, we're gonna go ahead and add some ways to stay healthy at school, and we're gonna add at least 3, and we're also gonna add an image for each. So I'm gonna show you how to do that. Definitely focus on one, and then I'll speed it up for the other 3, so you can kind of do it at your own pace. So let's go again to our drop-down menu. We're gonna look for Insert. Go down to Word Art. And one way we can stay healthy at school is obviously wearing a face mask. Make sure we get everything spelled right, make sure there's no issues with it looks, wear a face mask, all right? And then enter. And you'll see it comes up again. I want to go in, zoom in a little bit so I can see it a little bit better. Scroll down. And again, I want to change that. I want to change the way this looks. So I'm going to first go to my Google toolbar, and I want to look for the font. I'm going to pick some different ones. I'm going to look for, and there's a whole bunch of choices you can choose from. Let me see if I can find something I like. No, I don't like that. That one looks kind of cool. And I'm going to resize this, making sure that I can read it, because I don't want to take up too much space, because I have to put an image with each or a picture with each. There's something else you can do. See this little circle right above the square here? This is where I can rotate it. So if I click and hold on that, I can rotate that. I can move this around a little bit. And I can change the color now. So I'm going to click on this, go to my paint bucket, go to gradient, let me try some different colors, maybe something like that. I'm going to keep it red maybe this time. Here's something else. This is kind of advanced, but you can do it as well, and I've done this with second graders and first graders before. I go right here on the back to the Google toolbar where it says Format Options. Again, make sure you're clicked on what you want to change. Click on this. It brings up a new menu. Watch this. This is really cool. If I go to, there's a few things you can do, but we want to focus on this one right here, which is a drop shadow. Click on this one. This allows you to make it almost seem 3D. So you can change this. And notice I can start to make it pop a little bit. Change the angle. So I'm going to leave it like that. You can even change the color. I usually don't, but you can even change the shade of that color. I usually leave it on that just to make it look like a standard shadow and make it pop out at you. So that's really cool. Once I'm done with that, I can close it. And notice how it jumps off the page. You can again do that. I'm gonna go back and show you again. So click on here, format, drop shadow, and notice I can change quite a bit with that. I'm going to change this a little bit. You can blur it. I'm going to maybe make it just like this, like a background. So this way it almost makes it look like you have a 3D image on there with words. All right, guys, we're going to work on adding images here, and really just kind of really basic images with no backgrounds at all. So we got to choose our words carefully. To insert an image, I'm going to come back to my Google toolbar and I'm going to look for the mountains, which is how I can insert an image or a picture. I click on that. It's going to give me a bunch of choices. Okay. Now, if I already have images in my drive, I could use those, or if I have photos. I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use search the web. Okay. So what I'm looking for is a face mask image, and I don't want anything with a background. I just want something very simple. So I'm going to type in face mask, and usually what I choose is clip art or an icon. I'm going to choose clip art. Notice it sometimes comes up for me. I'm going to choose that. I want something that doesn't have any kind of background image. It's really basic. So I can try any of these. Let's see what this looks like. Drag that over. You can either double click or just drag it over. That looks pretty good. Again, if I ever make a mistake, and I failed to tell you this earlier, guys, just click the undo button and it'll fix what you just did. Let me see what this might look like. Notice it's over here. And of course you can move this around. Okay, you can move this around. You can resize it with any image. Please, please, please grab the corners, because you want to resize it and keep the image quality and size. You don't want to do something like this where that just looks ridiculous. So always take your pictures and use any of the corners to resize it. I like that one, but you know what? I'm going to go with this first one. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. Backspace. And I'm going to use this one. And notice how it's moved down here, and I don't want it down there. And it's way too big. You're going to say it's way too big. And I'm going to resize it at the corners. Put up here. Again, you don't have to choose what I'm choosing. I'm just showing you an example. But what I do want you to know is I want you to pick an image that doesn't have any stuff in the background. Okay, no pictures. You just want kind of a very simple image here for any of these. You can move everything around at any time. You can rotate this again a little bit. I really want to rearrange this and customize it the way I want. I want it to be eye-catching. Flyers need to get people's attention, so I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit larger. But I remember I'm going to have two more ways to stay safe at school. I don't want to take up too much space, so you might find yourself moving things around and making things smaller as you go, and that's okay. I just want to make sure everything's on the page. All right, so there's one. I've got wear a face mask, and there's my image. Let's go ahead and zoom out and see what it looks like so far. So I know I can see it right here, but let's see it on my page. It's looking pretty good so far. I'm going to add two more ways that we can stay healthy at school. Now, I might go a little bit quicker, but you can always go back in the video if you need help on details. So I'm going to add washing our hands often. So let's go back to, I'll actually first zoom in a little bit. I'm going to put it right down here. So I'm going to go to my drop down menu. I'm going to go to insert word art, and I want to put wash your hands. I'm going to say often, which means quite frequently. Enter, and know that it's just going to go to the center. And I want to move that, and I'm going to rotate this one. I'm going to rotate it a little bit this way. I'm going to put my picture right down here. Now I don't like this font or the color, so I'm going to go to my Google toolbar and I'm going to change that to finding something new. Let's see. Try some other ones. I'm going to make this one different. Yeah, that one looks pretty good. I'm going to change the color. Let's try, well, since you wash your hands with water, let's try blue. Maybe a darker blue. Ooh, cool. All right, so I'm gonna add a little bit of shadow. Again, that's my format options. Add that shadow. The distance, I'm gonna change the angle, so maybe it kind of rotates a little bit up like that. Maybe make the distance a little bit closer. Notice you can kind of go pretty far. I don't suggest going too far because that just looks like you got two. I just wanted to make it look like shade here. You see, and I might change the color on this one since the font or the letters are so dark. Let me try a different color, white. It's still hard to see. I'll keep with my good old tried and true black on this. All right, there you go. I've got wash your hands. Let me just rotate that just a little bit. All right, I'm gonna leave it right there. Close that so I can see my screen better, and I'm gonna add an image in. So I'm gonna go back to my Google toolbar. I'm gonna go to the mountains, which is adding an image. I'm gonna search, and I'm going to put in wash hands clip art. And notice clip art usually comes up. I want to pick something really simple, with no backgrounds. Usually the first couple ones are going to be good. This one looks pretty good. Click and drag that over or double click on it. Let's make sure. Yeah, that one looks pretty good. Notice how it has no background images. It just has the picture of the hands and the sink, and that's all I want. I don't want anything in the background. I want to keep those simple. I'm going to go ahead and move that down. I'm going to resize my image, always using the corners. And I'll leave that right. Make sure this is on here. And again, you're going to move things around. Don't worry about that. You can move it. Even when you're done with the whole flyer, you might move things around. You just want it to fit on here. So it looks good. We're almost done. I'm going to go ahead and zoom out so I can kind of take a look at it again, the whole thing at once. And notice that I'm changing things as I go. Resizing, which is totally okay. I want to make this middle part of my flyer a little bit larger, but I still want to keep it on the page. I'm going to just move some things around a little bit and know that I need room for at least 3. So you might find yourself changing the size and rearranging things, and that's totally okay. Because I need to add one more, and I'm going to put it right up here. And our last one is going to be keeping 6 feet of space apart between you and your friends, but I'm just going to probably just leave it as keep 6 feet apart when we can. And I'm going to really speed this up, so you're going to see me doing this, but in the video it's going to go a lot faster. Alright guys, I did speed that last part up, but you notice I made a few changes and I want to point out a couple things. I did use some different words to find the spacing. I used social distancing clip art, and I actually started with this one, but I didn't like that it had a white background. So I used these 2 guys and it worked out well. It looked a lot better. And by the way, 2 meters is the same as 6 feet. So go ahead and keep that. And I did change quite a few things. And in fact, I'm going to change this one more time. I didn't want any of those rotated. It just looked a little bit better. I can make this a little bit larger. So I'm going to suggest that you change it often. You just really want it to make it look like something that would get my attention if I'm walking by, and it would help other people, because I do plan on hanging up some of your art at school and on the campus. But there we go. I've got it done. I can obviously go back and make some changes to it and make it look even better. So take your time and have fun, and make sure you get it done by the end of the week, and I'll give you some feedback on that. Thanks a lot.